If I shackle my soul to the underworld, can we get some wins in Commoner? Hi friends, welcome back to Nearly Same Games. I'm Neil, and this is the Armory Report. This week's event was Commoner Blitz, and I decided to try something new, and I went with Chane. So let's take a quick look at the deck that I played. First off, we start with our hero Chane. And Chane's ability is once per turn action, we can create a soul shackle. And your next Runeblade or Shadow action this turn gets go again. And it's important that we note that it's Runeblade or Shadow action, especially in Commoner, because we have some things that this can't give go again to. But pay close attention to that. We've got our soul shackles, got a rune chant in white border. Hopefully tilt some people. And then we have our weapon. And this is kind of our go-to weapon for rune blades. And when you attack, if you have played an action card, an attack action card, and a non-attack action card, you deal 2 arcane damage when you swing this, and 2 damage. So we come in for 2 and 2, dual damage, difficult to block. Now for equipment, I'm running a set of Ironhide, and we've got the plate, the helm, and the gauntlet. And I have found that I just want this. There's a lot of big attacks coming in now in Commoner, and these are all really good for us to have. We have some other things in there that we'll look at, but I just found that most of the time, having the extra block, being able to pitch a blue and block for 6, is a really big advantage, and I like to do that again. Snapdragon Scalers can give an action card, attack action card with cost 1 or less go again. Some people run the boots, but you have to have played an attack action and non-attack action, and you can give something with more than 1 go again, but I find Scalers is just the most efficient for this deck. And we have some things that I don't use so much. Ebb and Fold, you can destroy it and banish a card from your hand and draw a card if you pay 1. Also has Spell Void 2. I don't know. I just didn't find the opportunity that I really wanted to use that. Aether Iron Wave. This can give you extra resources if you have played an attack action and a non-attack action this turn. Having it Battle Worn 1 is pretty nice, but again, I didn't have necessarily the right hand. If I'm pitching, I'm probably pitching a blue, and that would probably give me enough to also swing Rosetta Thorn at the end. So I didn't have really, I didn't find the need for this. This might be better if I had blocked better early game and had the ability late game to be playing for my banish zone. So that might be more on me. And then we have some Runeblade, or some Arcane Barrier stuff. Crown has Arcane Barrier along with an additional ability. And then we have Gloves and Boots. And then finally you can potentially go really wide and have Stubby Hammerers do some work for you. I don't know. I never brought this in, so again, like I said, I really prefer having Ironhide. Chane is not very good at blocking. Runeblade typically has a lot of 2 blocks, and to have, like I said, be able to pitch a blue and be able to block for 6, especially when so many things are coming in dominated, very good. All right. Seeds of Agony, not banned in Commoner. And so we are running the full set. An excellent 0 cost action that has go again. This is our go-to, can be played from banish. This is our bread and butter. We would like to see this every turn. Read the Runes. This is kind of our backup. We can use a Soul Shackle to give this go again, so we can play another attack action or another action after this to send over the rune chants. This we're running we're running the full play set of those as well. Nimblism. And as you'll see, this is all of our actions that we play. So we want to play an action, a non-attack action, and then into an attack action, and then potentially swing Rosetta Thorn afterwards. So Nimblism is a nice generic action for us that has Go Again already, so then we can use our Shackle on our regular attack action. We're just running the reds of those. Belittle. Belittle is an interesting little... This is kind of a combination between Belittle and Minnowism. The idea is that you play the red Belittle, and then you're able to go fish out a blue Minnowism for resources. The issue that I have here is that in order to be able to go search up a Minnowism, you have to reveal a card with base 3 or less power, and it's an attack action card. So we have to have 3 cards in hand already. We have to have the pitch, we have to have the belittle, and then we have to have our attack action card. I was never able to actually get this. I'm sure this is great early game when you can tank the first attack and then use this later, or if you can get this in your arsenal and have that as be able to hold 2 cards in hand and also be able to play this, then you can get this to work. The only time I was really able to have an opportunity to do this, I was really kind of in blocking mode a little bit, and I ended up with 2 cards in hand with this and another card, and that's not enough to make this play. So this has... I don't know how good this is necessarily in this deck right now, but there's the Belittle Minnowism combo. Razor Reflex. I like this card a lot. We can use it on Rosetta Thorn because Rosetta Thorn is a sword, and it gives our weapon +3. It's a nice combat reaction. I don't think a lot of people are looking for a Razor Reflex on the Rosetta Thorn, so that's good. And we're running a lot of low-cost attack actions that we can also use this on. And if that attack action hits, this will give it Go Again. So that is also important. So we're running the 2 reds for that. And now we're going to get into our attack actions. And this is a new one from Everfest, and it is pretty gross. The Shrill of Skullform says, if you have played or created an aura this turn, Shrill of Skullform gets +3. That makes this a 7 for 2. And our Soul Shackles are an aura. So this comes down to 7, 6, or 7 and 5. We're running the reds and the blues. This is an excellent action for us. I'm happy to play this and Rosetta Thorn as just the turn. We need a blue for that, to pitch for that. But even the blue one, we're coming in for 5 and then 2 more with the Thorn. It still makes a very solid play, and I like this card a lot. Consuming Volition. This threatens to, if you've dealt arcane damage this turn, and this hits, they discard a card. So either they're blocking out they're paying for your arcane, or they're blocking out this card. Either way, good at pulling cards from their hands. We're running 2 of those. Arcanic Crackle. This will deal 1 arcane damage when this attacks. Costs 0, so pretty good cost value, and then it attacks for 3. Also blocks for 3, which is important. Riftbind. Of course, this is a Chane All-Star. We can play this from our Banished, and if we do, it gets +X, where X is the number of non-attack action cards you've played this turn. So if you have seeds, you can, and then you play this, you've got 2 arcane damage coming in from the seeds, and then you've plus this up by 2. So you've got 5 on this, 2 more from that. Pretty good value. And you're always happy to see this come out of going to your Banish Zone. Ghostly Visit. 1 for 4. Can be played without any other requirements out of your Banish Zone. Just good value for us. Running the 2 reds. Bounding Demigon. Again, If you played a non-attack action card this turn, you may play it from your banish zone. We're almost always playing that. And if you do, it gets +1. So we've got the 3 and the 2 there that we're playing. And that's our deck. Let's go back and take a look at our record. So round 1 was against a Cassai. Cassai is difficult even in Commoner. Running the sabers, you have to be careful that when she swings, if you're blocking, you're going to increase the power on those sabers. And anytime you block from your hand, there's going to be reactions that are going to come back and pump up the attack. So, yeah, she becomes quite tricky to deal with. In the same way a lot that Dorinthia is a tricky character to deal with, but she's got pretty much guaranteed 2 attacks each turn, and potentially big attacks. So here we go. Started off with doing Seeds of Agony into consuming into the Rosetta Thorn. He ends up taking 1. His return, I block with my Goliath Gauntlets, and he go and take a big hit and go to 13. I come back with Read the Runes yellow into Abounding Demigod yellow with a Razor Reflex and a Rosetta Thorn, and now we're down. He's at 17. I'm at 13. His return hit, I believe I block out the first saber, and the second saber I let come through, and he bumps it up to 10. Okay, 7-3. I do a Seeds of Agony into a Ghostly, do a Snapdragon, and Shackle for a Shrill Skull form into a Thorn, bring him down to 1. Now it's 1-3. He throws over a Saber. I block for 6, because I don't know what that Saber is going to have attached to it. And he does a push through with an 8 Dominate that I can't take care of. So he takes me out for that. Cassai is a little bit different than Dorinthia. I think that the first attack is less scary than the second attack. The second attack usually comes through and is a lot of power. I was looking at my hand in that match, and I was getting excited about the combination. This is a new deck for me. I don't normally play Chane, and honestly, I put this deck together right before the match. And so I think I was falling in love with my hand too much. And I said, oh, I've got these cool things that I want to do. And I would take more damage than I should have to do those things. And the advantage of Chane is to build up soul shackles and be able to scoop cards out of your banish zone to throw back at your opponent. And so I think I wanted to block early more and wait for those big turns from the banish zone. Round 2 was against a Briar. All right. Turn 1, I block. I end up taking 1. I got a hand with no attacks, which wasn't great. I think I had 2 seeds and a razor and maybe a Read the Rune chance. It was not good. So I blocked and ended up throwing a Rosetta Thorn at him for 2, which is not the pressure that you want to put on Briar. Like a little bit more. So I take a big hit because, again, I have a hand that I really like the look of and I want to do things with, which has a Seeds, a Nimblism, a Crackle, and still able to throw the Rosetta Thorn. really not a whole lot of damage there. Um, I had a little bit of arcane in there. I think that came in for 12 points of damage, which probably did not offset enough the amount of damage that I took from that. But we go down to 2-2, and I get into a blocking match, and that is not where you want to be with Chane. You don't want to have you really want to have the advantage and then be pushing damage in the later game. And this was just a bad spot for me, especially against Briar, who can throw so much damage your way. But again, I wanted to try to keep up pressure. Briar's a little bit of a race, and it's just who can deal damage faster. And the answer was Briar. I ended up blocking out one turn, and my chains hit Blood Debt and killed me with Blood Debt. So round 3 was against Azalea, and we started out, and I blocked out his first attack, or he blocked out my first attack. Read the runes, consuming aberration into Thorn. I get him down to 14. I'm still at 20. He sends over a Scar for Scar, which I let hit. I'm concerned about Azalea's on-hit effects. Azalea has some really scary things that can turn off your hero's ability. They can cause the first attack to be half power. There's a lot of things that I really don't want to hit, so letting a Scar for a Scar through is fine. And then the next arrow I blocked out, and then he sends over a fatigue shot for 6. That is not what I want to see, and I think about that a lot. I have a Shrill in my hand and a blue, so I could either block out this arrow and let him have a full hand next turn, or see what I can do about either pushing some damage or getting cards out of his hand. Either one I'd be happy with. I decided to take it, so I go down to 10 and send over my Shrill the Skull form. It gets buffed, but then it gets divided in half because of the fatigue shot. So it comes over for 4, which he takes, and then another 2 with the Thorn, which he also takes. He sends over another couple of attacks, I believe, and I block one from hand, and the other I block with armor. And then he sends over a dominated arrow, which I couldn't block. So I lost that match. My 4th round was against Levia, which I thought was interesting. Also thought it was interesting that this Levia was running Talishar as the weapon, which means that he's looking for a Razor Reflex target and looking to not swing that much, which doesn't sound too bad. From what I've played with Levia, a lot of times you're just not swinging the club, so Talishar is an interesting choice. Again, you can do Razor Reflex, potentially getting you more of a buff than just using the club and potentially trying to line up the pummel shot. You can swing Talishar and do a Razor for just 1 blue, as opposed to trying to make a pummel work, which is difficult. But I know what I'm going to getting with Levia. I'm pretty familiar with playing against her. I'm going to be expecting a few big hits that don't have any on-hit effects. So I'm less scared about this match. And at this time, I got some sense into my head that I need to wait for the later game when I'm getting more use out of my Banish Zone. So I'm able to send over a Shrill with a Read the Runes, for 7+2. And then I'm immediately on blocking duty. I'm ready to block with 2 cards from my hand. I'm looking for hands that I can send something back, preferably send something back and have swing the thorns for the extra 2. I'm not really worried about the rune chant damage there, the arcane damage. I'm really just looking for a consistent, maybe 7 points of damage, 6 points of damage that I can send his way to pull cards from his hand while I get a chance to build up my soul shackles enough that I can get that advantage from my banish zone. And what I'm looking to do is to keep those blue cards in hand so that I can pay for what I need to and get that stuff out of my banish zone. And so I get a good armor block in there. I think he sent an attack with Go Again and then a 6 power attack, and then just blocked out with my armor. And he's starting to build up blood debt, which is pretty scary in Commoner because there's only a limited number of things that you can do to keep blood debt turned off. And I believe he did take a hit at one point of maybe 3 blood debt from that in the mid game. I get 4 shackles out. He's at 1 at this point. I'm at 4. I'm able to do a double seeds and a bounding demigod, and then still throw a Rosetta Thorn at the end of that. And at this point, he's used all his armor. He has 1 piece of arcane barrier, and he can't block the 2 from the Rosetta Thorn, so I take him out. I also still had a razor in the arsenal, so I was ready to kill him with that as well. So 1-3 with Chane Commoner is not a good record, but I'm happy to have it. This is my... I don't play Chane very often. I think I forced him once in a sealed event, and I'm not very familiar with this line. But I think that, especially in this Commoner format, you're looking to build up those rune chants, and you're probably looking to block out early in an effort to get to the advantage of being able to play from your banish zone. Because if you don't, you're going to take up too much damage in the early game and not have that advantage later. It's getting more difficult. I think the Commoner decks are getting more refined. We're able to really get to damage numbers that you would see in normal blitz matches, 12, 13, 15 points of damage in a turn that is not uncommon. And with these aggressive decks, it's difficult, and they're going to be pulling cards from your hand. But remember with Chane that you're going to get that back on the back end from the banish zone, and you want to build towards that. So that's where we are. I think that wraps it up for this week. Next week is Blitz, which I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to make, but until next time, I'm Neil, and this has been the Armory Report.